welcome to the D3D4 Football Podcast with me, your host, James Richards. It's Sunday the 16th of January 2022. Still getting my head around the fact it's 2022. Ridiculous. We are back for another D3D4 Football Podcast looking at all things League 1 and 2. And on the show this week we have a new leader at the top of League 1. We have some statement signings from clubs in both divisions. We have a team now winless in 11 league games. We have a new team in the playoffs as well in the third tier. In League 2, we have a team in real trouble near the bottom. An owner ready to sell, finally. And, of course, late goals galore. You wouldn't expect anything less from these brilliant divisions. I am joined by my two co-hosts, as usual, Ed Walker and David Jenkin. Ed, your side beat David's. You can get the gloating out of the way early.
No, I'm better than that. Not doing it. You do it with me, but I'm not doing it.
Oh, come on. It's fine amongst friends.
I feel to David. I understand the situation he's in. I had it last year. But it does get better, David, I promise.
Well, it got better for Burton. There's no guarantee it'll get better for Gillingham.
I wasn't going to say it.
Steve Lovell back again. He may as well just rent a room permanently at the Priestfield.
He's probably got an office space somewhere which is permanently reserved, isn't he, for whenever.
You named one of the corner flags after him yet?
Won't be too long, will it?
The Steve Lovell corner flag. Yeah, I was going to say you could name the away end after him. Because essentially it's the same thing, isn't it? He's permanently there, but it's only on a temporary basis. Anyway, right, new patron to talk about. Ryan Whelan has joined up as a patron. Really nice to have you, Ryan. Lincoln fan. We will chat about your team this week. Not quite the result you wanted, I'm afraid. Also, we are proud to be partnered up with a Big Step, tackling the amount of gambling adverts in football. We are, as a podcast, open to sponsorship, but like I say, nothing to do with the gambling industry, please. Right, let's jump in and start in League 1.
League 1.
And we have a new leader at the top of the table, and it's Wycombe Wanderers, annoyingly, who beat Oxford yesterday by 2-0. And apart from really the opening 15 to 20 minutes maybe, they made it look comfortable. This is a very, very good team. For all the sort of stereotypical generic rubbish that you hear about Wycombe being a game management team, a team that just shithouse their way, for a want of a better word, to wins, they are a fantastic team. They have got an unbelievable work ethic, an unbelievable ability to see games out when they do take the lead. They just have everything you'd want. Steel, grit, determination, quality. I mean, Gareth McCleary is fantastic. Should still be in the Championship.
I agree with that completely.
Oxford fans giving him, because he's an Oxford boy, he's born in Oxford, along with John Beat. We're giving him stick all match, and he just, after the first goal which he set up, he went straight to the Oxford fans and gave some back. It was all good, but there were unfortunately a few incidents in the game marred the enjoyment. There was homophobic abuse shouted from the away end, I believe, at the goalkeeper. Unacceptable, absolutely disgusting. It was reported quite rightly by the keeper to the referee. The game stopped, and then an announcement came over the tannoy. So I hope they find out who was responsible and ban them, because frankly, I'm getting sick and tired of abuse of any nature in football grounds. Let's all grow up now and stop being such arseholes. Frankly, it's just, no need for that at all. There was also a Wycombe fan who ran onto the pitch and tried to assault some Oxford players. He was quickly carted off. So unsavoury scenes in a game which was actually, when I looked at it, I don't know if any Wycombe fans or Oxford fans remember, we were on a Sky TV game against Wycombe. It must have been 2004 or 5 or something. Tommy Mooney was playing for Oxford at the time, and it was a dreadful game, really dreadful. Finished 1-1. It was at Adams Park. Terrible, terrible match. And then I watched this one yesterday and I thought how far these two teams have come in relatively a short space of time. Both played some really good football. Obviously Wycombe always looked more threatening and kept Oxford at arm's length. Very good performance from I thought basically all the team. Mehmedi was very good. Beta was solid. I think Gareth McCleary stood out for me. Brandon Hannon was just working the Oxford back line all the time. I think defensively we don't look great. I mean, my one thing I would say about Oxford as well, Carl Robinson's in-game tactical management, to change things when we're struggling, he's not able to do it. It's not about style of play. We play a good style and we often score late goals because we wear teams down with our style. But when we're nullified by a team, as we've seen against Lincoln and Cheltenham and now Wycombe, we don't have the ability to change it. And it's not just about Herbie Kane not being there, because he's been there for some of these defeats. So I think if Oxford do want to press on and develop, we're going to have to find a way of doing that. Carl Robinson, also very cryptic in his post-match comments, talking about cohesion, players needing to be reminded that they're very lucky to play for Oxford. I think there's some agents turning some Oxford heads here by the sounds of it, because he made a comment saying these Wycombe players, you can see they all want to stay at the club and get promoted with this team. And then he's going to say, I'm not criticising any individual in our squad. I was thinking, sure you're not. Sure you're not. But there is definitely some shenanigans going on there somewhere. And I have my thoughts on who it might be or which players it might be, but without any evidence, I'm not going to say it publicly. But yeah, a great performance from Wycombe, and a really nice tribute to Alana Herford, poor Wycombe fan who passed away at the age of 29. I mean, tragic, absolutely tragic. They had a flag saying "Forever a Chair Girl," which was on the stand where the dugouts are, and everyone stopped. The referee stopped the game in the 29th minute for everyone to applause, and it was nice that every single person joined in with that. But yeah, my sympathies with the family. That's a terrible tragedy. But it was marked nicely, I thought, by the club. So very good in that respect. Guys, statement signings. We're going to expect a few. I thought Josh McGuinness to Wigan was a pretty good one. They won 2-1 yesterday. Again, without playing the greatest game, they managed to get a 2-1 win at Doncaster. Ed, Josh McGuinness is a player that I think, obviously a replacement for Charlie Wyke, it would seem. But it's a statement signing for me, because he is, when he's in this division, he's always a very, very good player.
Yeah, he said Darrell was whole last year, didn't he? Can't remember the exact number of goals he got off the top of my head, but he had a big part in their promotion push. And you feel like Wigan are one of those clubs in this league that are going to have a very productive January window because they have the money to do that. And it could help them a lot in their promotion push.
What do you think of the fact that they can play badly and win? That's always a good sign, isn't it?
Definitely.
Would you rather have games in hand or points on the board, by the way? I'll ask you, David, first on this one.
Absolutely points on the board. A game in hand means that you've still got a chance of losing it. At least if you've got the points on the board, you know where you stand.
What about having 5 games in hand?
Yeah, that's the caveat. That's the difference.
And you're only 4 points off top.
It's wrong to look at it and say that's a guaranteed 15 points. It's not at all. But
you only need a guaranteed 5 with Wigan.
You only need a couple of wins exactly from those 5, and you're top of the table. So there is a good reason to be optimistic at the moment.
But then there's the opposite, where you could absolutely flop and lose all 5 of those games, and you find yourself.
Well, it's going to be probably in a I don't know if the fixture's been rearranged yet, but it's going to be a congested period. So you're going to be playing every 3 or 4 days, and that will affect Wigan. But like I say, they don't need to win all 5 of them to make the most of it.
Will Keane,
so there's potential for it.
Scoring goals again yesterday. Now, I played a game. I can't remember which team it was, but I was in the Russian Premier League on Football Manager, and Will Keane was my starstrucker. And so I've always liked him, and I was very happy to see him scoring yesterday. Max Power as well on the score sheet, another assist for James McLean, who's had a good season. Omar Bogle scored. I mean, I forgot he still played football. A player who has basically done nothing since leaving Grimsby.
Yeah.
Came off the bench to grab a goal back for Doncaster, who obviously we think are going to be and remain in massive trouble. But Wigan Athletic, a big 2-1 win.
Do you feel positive about the Agard signing, James?
He hasn't played enough football for me to be positive or negative about it either way, really. I mean, it's another body. It's a striker who has got a good history of scoring. But there's this habit in football of signing a player and saying, well, in 2 seasons ago he scored 20 goals, and it's about what the player is like now, unfortunately, and it's hard to gauge with Kieran Agard what kind of player he is at the moment. If you lose your sharpness, you can drop away quickly. So That's my only caveat on that one. But yeah, I think for Doncaster, just getting in anyone to help out, 16 points, sitting plumb bottom after 25 games, only 4 wins all season, which is actually more than Gillingham, who we'll come to in a minute, is not a great record for Donny at all. Another team making statement signings and a statement win yesterday, very much needed, was Bolton Wanderers. 2-0 they beat Ipswich Town. Phil Neville lookalike didn't getting his first defeat. Kieran McKenna.
We're not calling him that, are we?
He does look like Phil Neville, doesn't he? Or is it just me?
I think you're just saying that because he's got lighter coloured hair.
I don't know. It's the shape of his face. I mean, if I was playing a game of football Guess Who, I'd find it quite difficult if the room wasn't well lit.
What's the comparison?
To tell them apart.
No.
I don't know.
I've never ever thought of him looking like that.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Okay, but never mind. So not Phil Neville, but Kieran McKenna losing his first game. Not helped by George Edmonton not looking where he's passing. But there you go. He's got a talented squad. I just think Ipswich season is it's over, man. I can't see them. They've just still got that sort of performance in them, which is just crazy. But let's talk about Bolton, because they've had bits of good performances within games, but they've never seen it through. I thought Dion Charles's performance was good, leading the line well. I thought Aaron Morley from Rochdale, good pickup. And these players are obviously going to be the ones very much making the difference for the Trotters. I think we all know that January is a good window for them, traditionally. They just seem to be able to find players that make a massive difference. Not sure about Marlon Fossey. It'd be interesting to see how he does. Wasn't that impressed with him in his loan at Shrewsbury. But James Trafford, good young keeper. Who was he on loan at before?
Was it Accrington?
He was at Accrington. I thought I'd recognised the name. He'd been in another division. Obviously, Owen Doyle going back to St Pat's, going back to Ireland, freed up some obviously wages, I would imagine, and a bit of squad space. So, and Depo Afolayan coming on as an impact player. I mean, that's a good impact player to have. If you're not going to start him, he will cause teams a lot of trouble late in games. Came on, got the goal, gifted the goal, it have to be said, that decided this one. But a big win for Bolton, because they haven't been very good of late. Ed, their season is going to be one of mid-table, though, isn't it? I mean, we're not talking about a Bolton charge like we are last season, are we?
I've been very, very surprised. I don't think mid-table's really a bad thing. You've got to remember they were League Two last season.
Yeah, I think.
And I still think it's a club heading in a much more positive direction, which compared to what they've been in the last 2 years is a very positive thing.
It's nice to see them get. They hadn't won in 4 straight defeats. In those games, they'd scored 1 goal. So obviously, scoring had been an issue, but they've bounced back well with this result. Again, Ipswich fans, I think, see what happens for the rest of the season. Let this man come in. He's got a great coaching pedigree. Let him coach these players. Let him stamp his style. Far too early to judge him. It's funny. He has 2 back-to-back wins, and everyone thinks that this is it. They've changed, but it's too small a sample size, especially in a division like League One. So, yeah, absolutely, give him some time. I think he'll do well. We talked about Lincoln last week. Appleton, a great midweek win against Sunderland. Absolutely fantastic result that. Chris Maguire, Mr. Shithouse himself, the man who I think invented it all, getting a hat-trick against Sunderland and running straight over to Lee Johnson to celebrate his goal, which I just thought was funny. But Lincoln incredibly wasteful yesterday. This has been one of their big problems. They create loads and loads and loads of chances, and if they don't take them, then I don't know what you do. I just think they had enough chances yesterday, and Mark Bonner admitted this. He said, I couldn't believe it was 0-0. It just gave us a chance, is what you're saying, to stay in the game. And then Joe Ironside comes up and scores the winner. Now, he got the headlines, but for me, the person who deserves headlines is Dimitar Mitov. His performance against Newcastle and his performance against Lincoln have been fantastic, like top-notch shot-stopping, absolutely brilliant stuff. This is a guy who Cambridge fans told me last season he's an average keeper in League Two.
I seem to remember he's playing second field to Callum Burton as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought he was a good player when I saw him last season, and I thought that was a bit harsh. I look at it now and think, well, he's just fantastic. I mean, the last 2 games, especially, He made some great saves at St James's Park. He made some great saves at Sincilbank yesterday. Absolutely deserves massive credit. He'll be almost a shoo-in for Team of the Week with that kind of performance. But absolutely great to see Cambridge under Mark Bonner doing well. I saw Tom Walker, who has been part of this podcast in the past. He made a tweet and basically just said, he's a Cambridge fan, by the way, just to give context. It's the reward. This team is the reward for 20 years or 25 years of dross, which I think Cambridge fans will probably look at that and go, absolutely. Like, it's been very tough times to a degree supporting Cambridge in the last couple of decades, and they are just, this is the best they've been in like 20 years, for a very, very long time. And they're managed by a young man in Mark Bonner, who is absolutely doing a fantastic job. Brilliant. Stephen Craney doing a fantastic job at Fleetwood, a 1-0 win against Rotherham. Did not see this coming at all. Ed, Fleetwood, obviously James Hill left to Bournemouth. They've brought in a couple of players in Ellis Harrison. Ellis Harrison, obviously, from Portsmouth. And then they signed... Who did they sign yesterday?
They brought in Toto Nsiala as well.
That's it, Toto Nsiala. Who
is very impactful with the signings. It's really positive.
It is. It's people were talking about them not spending, cutting their cloth accordingly, going, meekly out of the division. But no, I think those two players definitely improved what they've got. I think reinvesting the money that they got for James Hill quickly is the right move. And they're looking good. I mean, we were talking about the teams that we think stay up. I mean, Fleetwood, for me, look like a team that shouldn't be too worried about relegation if they play how they have been. Is that fair?
I'd have to agree with that. Yeah.
4 wins in the last 6, only 1 defeat in that run.
It's getting a bit harder to work out who's going to potentially fall into our bottom 4, isn't it?
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean,
it's still harder.
I think Wimbledon are good enough not to, having watched them. I watched their game against MK Dons in midweek, and they had a man sent off, and it just kind of didn't give me a good read on what they're like as a team. But I'm a bit worried about them. I'm not worried about Lincoln, Bolton, Cambridge. I'm not worried about Shrewsbury, and I'm just saying to you now, I'm not really worried about Fleetwood. So it really is those 5 at the bottom, and probably the onus is on the 4 in there at the moment to show us something. Morecambe drawing 0-0 at Plough Lane yesterday. That's a good result for them, I think.
Crewe have had a couple of positive results as well. That was a great win over Charlton in midweek.
They did, yeah, they did. And then yesterday, a really creditable draw. And a Dave Richards fantastic save as well. I love that save he pulled off from the header in the sort of dying stages of that match. Brilliant goalkeeping. Still though, I mean, they've got a lot of work to do, I think, to overtake teams. But you're right. There's still far too early to write anyone off. But at the moment, I think the onus is on Crewe, Morecambe, Gillingham, Doncaster to show us what they've got to push themselves out. Wimbledon in a bit of a rut, not really showing the kind of form that we saw early on in the season, and that's slightly worrying, to be honest, from their perspective. Ed, Gillingham lost 3-1 to Burton. Good first half from the Gills, David, but I listened to the interview that Paul Scally did with BBC Radio Kent. And he seemed like, he's definitely interviewing managers, and he was trying to get the fan base to galvanise, and he said, look, we'll settle our differences later, let's just concentrate on keeping this team up. He said the budget is the highest it's been since they've been in League One, £300,000 up from in the last 2 seasons from the previous years. What are you taking away from another defeat and indeed his interview?
I mean, firstly, the interview I find very hard to believe that. I just want to say that I find it particularly difficult that we've had to take the EFL loan, yet our budgets are up £300,000 from the previous year. That to me doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why we'd need to take the loan if it's 300k up above previous stuff. If our budget was that good, why was it not better than the year before that we were able to sign players like Jordan Graham, who have obviously now gone on to championship clubs? I'm not understanding, and a lot of this stuff isn't adding up. So I'm not reading too much into what he's said in that interview, bar the fact that it seems to be it's all on Steve Evans. I should have sacked him a couple of months ago.
The cloud has lifted, you know.
Yeah, like why didn't you then? If you
but they were linked to Stevenage, wasn't it? There was all the Stevenage talk about them putting in an offer, and they rejected it.
And so many fans have said, okay, if in the camp it's been like this for months, why did you not allow him to go to Stevenage? You would have got some compensation for him, and you could have brought, if you were only going to bring in Steve Lovell as an interim, let's be honest, probably until the end of the season, knowing Paul Scally.
Which season? End of which season?
Well, exactly. That's the point, isn't it? It's sort of like it's the same old people over and over again. It's sort of like we're not going for people that have League One experience, or any time we have been relatively successful in, say, the last 10, 15 years, it's been because we've made appointments that are not associated with the club.
I wonder if the song "What's That Coming Over the Hill? It's Hesson Thaler" would be appropriate.
If I'm honest, the only former Gills player currently that I'd want to see, I don't think we'd get him, but the only one that I'd want to see right now would be Michael Flynn. I think that if there's anyone that's going to get us out of this situation, or could even stand a chance of getting us out of this situation, it's either Michael Flynn. Well, actually, I think it's just him. But even if he doesn't, I don't care who takes to the end of the season, because I'm expecting relegation anyway at this point. I think it's only Paul Scally who in those comments seemed to be quite naive in the fact that, okay, yeah, there's still 22 games left. Yeah, sure, there's still 22 games left, but we still have to win.
You haven't won in 11, so...
Exactly, and we still have to get some wins within those 22.
And you glance at the rumour mill as well. There's talk of Carl Dempsey being linked with Bolton. I think I heard Wrexham were pursuing Verdane Oliver. It could lose the spine of your team here.
Rumours of £110,000 for Carl Dempsey. Apparently that's just personal terms to be agreed, and then he's gone. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be entirely opposed to it. Not because I don't think that I think he's incredibly important to us, but actually if it came to the point where that would help us pay off the loan and maybe be able to make some signings, or outside of the window if we'd need to make emergency signings, which we were unable to do because of this loan, I would prefer if that loan was paid off, especially when Dempsey, his contract's out in the summer anyway. So if we can get a fee for a player, like if we can get like 100k for a player that's going to be out of contract in the summer anyway.
Yeah, hang on guys, I'm just going to ring Carl Robinson here because I like Carl Dempsey. I think he's a good player.
Like, you know, I worry in terms of Verdane Oliver. I wouldn't want to see Verdane go, but I think we could manage without Kyle Dempsey.
Charlie Kelman can lead the line.
I mean, we at this point are relying on two 19-year-olds, really, aren't we? We're relying on two loans. Tom Dixon-Peters from Norwich, and then Charlie Kelman's come back in, which also, to be quite honest with you, I'm not really too happy about, because, again...
You weren't good enough to play in the first loan spell.
Well, I think he went back because he had a spat with Evans. So he went back because there was dressing room issues with Evans, and immediately they've brought him back, which the only reason I can think of is that it's simply another body, and obviously because of the embargo, there isn't an embargo, according to Paul Scally. We can't sign anybody for a fee anyway, unless they're a free transfer, or unless it's a free loan signing. So it's not looking great.
Troubled times at pre-sale. Ed, quickly from you, Burton, a good second half performance, really, you know, some really industrious play. Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, the much maligned Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, with the deft touch for setting up in the move that set up Johnny Smith's goal.
Yeah, very nice third goal. A very positive reaction after what sounded like a very, very poor first half. So certainly good to turn that around. We haven't done very well on the road recently. I think that's only our third away win this season. They've all come against dives down
away from
towards the
home
bottom
apparently either. You know.
No, I think that's only our 9th or 10th goals away from home so far. So it's quite good to pick up a victory on the road.
Indeed. You're a team hard to gauge sometimes, Burton.
Very, very hard to gauge.
Where you'll be, where you'll end up. A team not that hard to gauge at the moment is MK Dons. They are good. We've known that for a while. They were lucky, or maybe lucky or they played a good away performance defensively yesterday. Jamie Cumming coming in from Gillingham. And I think Pontus Dahlberg, by the way, is a good signing for Gillingham in goal. I think that's a fine signing. If you're going to lose Jamie Cumming, bringing in him's not awful. He's a good player. Put in some very good shot stopper. Did well in spells for Doncaster this season.
Did he?
Yeah, he was out of favour and not even in the matchday squad.
Whenever I talk to people like Dahlberg, they just show me his errors. I've got to say, I think that's a downgrade on Cumming.
I don't know.
To be honest.
I've seen him play some great performances this season for Doncaster, but yes, he does make errors. But then you've lost Jamie Cumming, who I think is...
Yeah, well, Cumming, I think, is one of the best goalkeepers in the league, so that was always going to be a challenge to replace.
I mean, statistically, he's the best goalkeeper in this league this season. But then he's probably faced a lot more shots than any other keeper in this league this season. So, padded stats in that sense.
Liam Manning did say they'd done a lot of work to get him to go to MK Dons. So they rate him very, very highly. An important win. And Theo Corbeneau with a blasted finish. I said Theo Corblimey, no. I mean, that was unbelievable strike. He just caught it plumb and no keeper saving that. I think Portsmouth deserved a point, if not the win, actually, based on their performance overall. Danny Cowley was very honest about it, saying that he actually can't really have a go about the performance. It's just one of those games that MK Dons up into the playoffs. Obviously, a win against AFC Wimbledon, who they just easily brushed aside in midweek, and then a very, very good result on the South Coast against a Portsmouth side that are it's still a good nick. I do think Portsmouth will be really one of those sides really pushing for playoffs this season. I'd like Fratton Park getting redeveloped. I mean, that's my that's where I spent a lot of Saturdays when I was a kid. It was Fratton Park. It's finally going to get a facelift, which is good and needed. It's held them back for many years, so good stuff for like the owners for putting in some infrastructure money and changing that. But yeah, great result for MK Dons. Really like what they do in recruitment. I think they're very, very good at it. They get good young. I mean, Theo Corbeneau's like 19. If I could hit football like that at 19, I would be a lot richer than I am now. He is a very, very good player. Clearly good, and people trust MK Dons to develop young players. We've seen it in the past, and they will be absolutely delighted. I did like Liam Manning saying as well that goal has made Scott Twine a bit twitchy about winning the Goal of the Month competition every single month. So, yeah, competition for that strike, Scott. Yeah, they've got some players, that's for sure. Sheffield Wednesday. Ed, talk to me about Sheffield Wednesday, because they're a difficult team to really understand. They draw a lot of games. A great win yesterday against Argyle, 4-2 victory. And they're right on the cusp of the playoff places. They're gonna add players, for sure. But they're not always convincing, are they?
I don't know what they're going to do this season. I haven't got a clue. I can't decide. One minute you think they're confident they're going to push in the top six, and then they're going to lose back-to-back games. I don't understand this. I don't know what to expect from this team at all.
Yeah, imagine being a supporter of them over the last few years. I do think Nathaniel Mendes-Lang is a great signing.
I completely forgotten he'd gone there.
So did I, yeah. When he scored that goal yesterday, I was like, what? When did they sign him?
That's my thoughts as well when I saw it.
Yeah. Josh Windass, though, with a finish his dad would be proud of. That was a brilliant finish. And then just stands there nonchalantly like, yeah, just no problem, lads. Do it every day. But shout out to Randall for that free kick. That was absolutely caught it plumb. Brilliant. I'm a little bit sort of cooling off on Argyle now in terms of where I think they'll finish. I think it's easy to dismiss a team, but they're not going to be, I think, in the playoffs when this season is over. I don't think so. I think.
Who do you think takes that spot?
Well, at the moment, I'm leaning either to Portsmouth or Sheffield Wednesday. I don't think Oxford will be in the playoffs when the season finishes. In all honesty,
he does think Oxford will be in the playoffs. He's just not admitting it.
No, I don't.
He's trying to be humble.
We don't have the grit that we need to.
I mean, they are dark horses for the playoffs this year.
They are. We all agree on that.
Yeah.
Control Alt
Has to be.
Delete. Closing Skype. No, yeah, I think I'd be leaning towards, well, the top 5 and then one of Sheffield Wednesday or Portsmouth. I'm not writing off Argyle, and I would never write off Oxford because they're my team, but I'd lean towards Sheffield Wednesday and Portsmouth because I do think they'll have good transfer windows. I do indeed.
I'm sure Argyle fans will take that though. Like, regardless of whether they hit those playoffs or not, I'm sure it'll be very nice. But actually, in comparison to how they probably thought they would do off the back of last season, anywhere in the top half is a massive achievement for a club in the situation they were in last year.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been excellent this season. Obviously, it was always going to be hard to keep up the run that they were on. But they're right up there in the mix, and they'll be, I'm sure, very happy with that overall. Accrington and Sunderland drew 1-1. Sunderland shooting themselves in the foot with aplomb. That goal they conceded was dreadful. Horrific. Like, one, that short corner routine deserves to be on a Twitter account in a sort of 20 years' time that calls crap noughties football or crap 2022 football. I don't know what is the decade we're actually in going to be called.
We're in the 20. Well, it has to be called the 2020s, can't it? Because you can't call it the 20s.
Yeah, so the 2020s, crap 2020s.
Not really been a good decade at the minute, to be honest. Let's be real.
It has not at all. There was a great crap 90s football put out a great free kick routine that someone did. I can't remember who it was, but that was hilarious. This corner routine was dreadful. It was a short corner whacked in, and then they left themselves so exposed. Like one hoiked ball forward, and that's it. They're done, and they should be seeing that game out.
Especially with Accrington down to 10 men at that point as well.
Yeah, no excuses at all. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'd rather see them. I know they're against 10 men, but I'd rather see that corner go short and defend it and just waste some time. Game manage. That's what Wycombe do so well. And that's why Wycombe sit above Sunderland as it is as we talk.
I wonder, gents, do we think that Sunderland are going to end up in those auto places that they're in now, or that they're going to have to face those playoff places once again?
That's a horrific question because I can't decide.
I think Wigan will go up automatically, and I think.
So you think Sunderland will face those playoff places once again?
I think they will.
My answer to that question will change every 2 weeks. I can guarantee it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one though.
It's
isn't
a really
it?
good
The way those teams, the way those teams are looking at the top, like at the moment, you know, they probably should be going up automatically this year, the way they've been playing. But when they make silly mistakes like that in a game that they arguably should be seeing out and winning, it does make you wonder.
Yeah, it does. The other result in this division was Cheltenham 1, Charlton 1. Chuck Zanike coming back and rescuing a point for Charlton, who didn't play very well. And I think Michael Duff will be very disappointed that his side didn't see this game out. He won't be happy at all about that. But yeah, I think Chuck Zanike is a very good pickup for Charlton. Always scores for them at this level. So yes, very good indeed. The league table is, as we look at it now, like you're just talking, Wycombe top, 52 points from 27 games, Sunderland 51 from 27, Rotherham 50 from 25. Despite defeat yesterday, they're still in a great position to climb. Wigan then 22 games played with 48 points. That's a great tally. Only 22 games played still, and they're both, I think, the Pizza Trophy and the FA Cup. So a lot of games to come for them this season. MK Dons 46 points from 26 games. Argyle 43 from 25. Then Oxford dropping outside by virtue of goal scored or something. I'm not sure exactly how it's reported.
Yeah, Plymouth climbed up into the playoffs after losing.
Yeah, they've played a game less.
I noticed that yesterday.
They've played a game less, which is, I think, what puts them above, because you guys are equal in everything else. Your goals scored for and against, and your goal difference is exactly the same. So it must just be on the fact that they've played one less game than you currently.
Yeah, because, I mean, if it's down to alphabet, we're kicking their ass. But, yeah.
Well, imagine if something came down to alphabetical order. That'd be
I changed my name to AAB Oxford United.
AFC Wimbledon would be laughing.
No, I seriously would.
They'd be loving it.
I changed my name in my club.
Wycombe wouldn't.
No, Wycombe wouldn't at all.
No. And Walsall would be always down the bottom as well. In the bottom it is Doncaster, Gillingham, Crewe and Morecambe. Morecambe sit 2 points behind AFC Wimbledon, having played a game more. Drew, of course, with them yesterday. So Crew 22 points, 4 points adrift, having played 3 games more than AFC Wimbledon, but showing some signs of life. Right, League 2 then. Let's jump down and talk about the 4th tier.
League 2.
And we start with Northampton 1, Forest Green 1. And Ed, talk us through this one because, controversial it was. Was that over the line, firstly?
Oh, you can't tell with these lower league highlights. The angles are always horrific. There's a point, if you're able to freeze it frame by frame, you kind of see a point where it maybe looks over, and then there's a point where it clearly isn't. So
yeah, there's no point people, Northampton fans, freeze framing it when it's clean,
yes,
not over the line.
Freeze framing the bit when it's already pretty much out off the line, not the bit before.
The thing I would say is when you look at how the goalkeeper's lying, his back is to the linesman. How's the linesman seen anything?
They don't. This is what linesmen do. They just guess.
They make.
The ball's gone towards the goal. It's probably gone over.
He looked at the reaction of the Forest Green fans, and then the Crime of the Day award goes to Nicky Cadden for utter fakery. I mean, even if he's poked him in the eye, which is probably about the worst scenario I can think of in that little flick of the hand, you don't go down like you've been shot. I mean, I play with my son's autistic. I play with him a lot, and he's poked me in the eye several times. If I went down like that, not only, well, he'd be in stitches, of course, but I mean, if I went down like that, my wife would walk in and be like, "Get up, God dear, what you do?" That was terrible. And when you're 1-0 up with not long to go, you don't do that. I mean, pitch invasions are great for a 1-1 draw at home.
It's the league leaders, though. Come on.
Yeah, that's that. Well, Forest Green fans saying
and
that.
And it felt unjust from the goal anyway, so I get it.
I get it. I hope they don't get in trouble for it, to be honest, because sometimes you have this automatic reaction. Oh, pitch invasion, so controlling your fans, going to be investigated. Shut up! Come on, it's an emotional game. So as long as it was all in good faith. What I do hate is when you have a pitch invasion and they go running straight over to the opposite fans and start causing trouble. That annoys me because it's like, don't do that. But yeah, 1-1 draw. Before we go on to any other matches, Oldham Athletics owner has said he will sell the club and he's getting his team to talk to appropriate bidders. Ed, that's music to Chris Stringer's ears and probably every other Oldham fan based on the way the man has run the club.
I don't know if he's ready yet, but I would imagine there was a little bit of seismic activity in Antarctica when he's dead. He'd be very happy. I think we've got to be a little bit careful. He said he has. He hasn't done it yet. He has got to walk the walk, for sure. I hope he does, for Oldham's sake.
I think the question remains as well, when does this happen?
And who does he sell it to as well?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think this is going to be a quick process. And if he's just... The question then comes, is he just looking to get out of this quickly because he's been ill-received?
Well, he seemed to say that short-term his target is to keep them up in the division, which is a big ask. Medium-term is to, I believe, move the club on to a new owner, I believe is what he said.
Yeah, he's selling it to his brother.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. But they've got Chris Mislew back, so all is well. He's back again. He's better than in midfield. He's probably an upgrade, which is, Jamie Bowden going back to Tottenham, maybe a loss, probably not, to be honest. Based on
I have a feeling with Bowden because there is clearly a lot of ability there. He's probably going to go somewhere else and show what he's about.
Playing in a team that actually plays a bit more football. He's
considered a very highly rated player at Tottenham Hotspur, so maybe his club will get the chance to show that.
Yeah, he'd do well probably in a more progressive side who actually keep possession and attack from time to time. That would be helpful. But yeah, so the good news, but with caution for Oldham fans. Great news, and I'm still putting caution on it for Mansfield fans because they beat Walsall 2-0 yesterday. They've had
Jazz, come on, we can do it now.
16th. They're finishing 16th.
Sorry, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I make no apologies. I'm doing it.
Oh, yeah. Well, if anything happens, it's Ed's fault. You can tweet him, not me. I mean, yeah, Mansfield's going great guns. Another victory yesterday, 2-0 against Walsall. Obviously beat Swindon as well midweek. This is an extraordinary run of form they're on.
Win.
It is. I mean, what is it now? Is it 8 wins in 9 or something?
I think it's 9 in 10. They've just got that one defeat to Sutton in the league in their last 10 games. And they got Forest Green next on Tuesday.
That's going to be amazing, isn't it?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very good.
Do we think they're another one of those teams that we're not really sure what to expect at the moment? Because even though they're pushing into those...
We haven't known what to expect from Mansfield since about 2001.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they're just...
It feels like...
They've just pushed into the playoffs, but... And I know they're going really well right now, but is this form maintainable?
Well, this form's not maintainable. They're not going to win.
This form is never maintainable.
But
you don't do this over a whole season.
But can they? What I want to see is, can they avoid going on another really bad run? Because if they can avoid that, then I think I'd have to be cautiously joining Ed in the Mansfield camp. But they've had 5 straight home games. Is that right?
Yeah, they've got a load of away games still left to play.
Yeah.
Not quite sure Hearts haven't made postponements somewhere, but I think they've still got 14 of their away games left to go, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, interesting. That'd be an interesting challenge. But Nigel Clough is certainly very, very pleased with his team. Charsley coming on, super sub, coming on yesterday, grabbing himself the goals that won this game. And Walsall continue to frustrate, that's for sure. They are a frustrating team. Manny Month being suspended for the 7 games, and then Ash Taylor obviously having COVID last week, so that they don't have much depth at centre back. I know Matt Taylor saying he's not going out to panic buy, but buy something at least. They're going to need to do something in this window. I think if their season's not going to be sort of, I'm not worried about them in terms of relegation, but I think they're looking rather mediocre at the moment, a bit pedestrian. And they
didn't think I'd hear you say that about Walsall.
Yeah, well, I like their squad, but when they've got players out, it's and the results tell their own story. A defeat to Stevenage, Paul Tisdale's first win as Stevenage manager last week. So, and then another defeat here. So yeah, not great from the Saddlers, and not awful. Definitely an improvement on last season, which is really not hard at all. But just need a little bit more convincing about them in the next months or so. Interesting to see if they do much business. Tranmere, I'm very convinced with Tranmere. A 2-0 win, charging out of the blocks yesterday, getting an early 2-goal lead, and then basically keeping their shape and seeing it out against a Rochdale side who we know are very good in every phase of the game except in both boxes. So, which is why they are where they are.
They lose Jake Beasley as well. Now he's gone to Blackpool. That's a bit of a loss as well.
Yeah, Aaron Morley and Beasley gone. They have brought in Paul Downing. I think that's a very good signing if he can stay fit. Defensively, he's going to be a cut above some of the young talent that they've got, and adding his experience, I think that's really important, because yes, they've got Jim McNulty, but he's had fitness issues. Ergon O'Connell is a good player, we know that, and I think a midfield of Liam Kelly and Stephen Dooley is actually not too bad. I don't think that stands up to the Morley Dooley sort of partnership, just for the names.
It's a shame that's broken up.
Yeah, a bit sad about that. I liked saying Dooley and Morley, but okay, Kelly and Dooley it'll have to be now.
Kelly.
Interesting to see how they replace Beasley. They're talking about 2 or 3 new signings this coming week. Probably Stockdale's very confident they'll get those over the line, but they do need to. The first goal completely self-inflicted, and I wonder if not playing for so long had kind of something to do with it. But Tranmere, let's talk Tranmere, because firstly, Charlie Jolly has done brilliantly. 4 goals in 6 appearances for the 21-year-old, only just 21. Got the brace yesterday. They don't concede goals. What is it now? 6 straight clean sheets? It's 540 plus minutes. So 540 minutes of league football without conceding. It's going to be more. Are you sure?
It was 1-1 on Tuesday at Salford.
Oh, you're right. Yes, that's the blip on my sheet here. Okay.
If you say weekends, we'll get away with it.
Yeah, weekends. That's what I meant. Well done, Ed. I was just testing your alertness on this Sunday morning. But no, actually, regardless of that 1-1 draw with Salford, they have been fantastic. And I thought Mickey Mellon was quite defensive in his interview afterwards when someone said that that there was a tide of Rochdale attacks. He said, "Whoa! I'm not having that." In his Scottish accent, I'm not going to try it. He said, "We kept our shape. We were 2-0 up. We said, right, now you've got to break us down." Obviously, the keeper had to make one fantastic save, and apart from that, really, they were comfortable. And this is a Tranmere side that are just, was it 8 unbeaten something like that. 9 unbeaten. It's a really good run. It's a really good run of form. 9 games without defeat. They've kept clean sheets in like 6 of them. It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Kane Hemming signing. Ed, your thoughts on that? I think that's excellent.
Yeah, I think it's a really good one. It's not bad from a Burt perspective, actually, to get a thief for a guy who came into nothing and is 30 years old. But Kane, if they play to his strengths, there's plenty of goals in him. Well, I think we kind of looked at Tranmere and felt they needed that dependable goal scorer. And I'm impressed with Jolly, I agree. But adding Kane Hemmings to it, that's a really effective poacher in their system if they get good use of him.
Yeah, they can get rid of Emmanuel Desure now.
Yeah, definitely.
Desure, or however you pronounce his name. But yeah, he's not impressed me anywhere he's been. So that's a huge upgrade. Great signing. To get a player who can score goals in League One to come to League Two, and he's not old. He's he's a decent age. He's probably exactly what they need. His experience and his know-how with the enthusiasm of Nevitt and Jolly will be priceless. And they've got depth and strength everywhere. The fact they let Ryan Watson go to Salford, they do want to add someone in midfield. Apparently, they're looking to do that. Their defensive unit is superb. It's a good team, and they play in a way that gets results, and that is exactly what they're going to have to do. Could they catch Forest Green? I don't know. We shall see. I'm not convinced anyone will, but we will see. And there's a bit of a grudge, of course, between those two. So there we go. Ed, Bristol Rovers beating Hartlepool 2-0. Hartlepool fans saying they're in trouble. I honestly don't think they're in real trouble.
They're not in trouble with the home record.
And they're not in trouble because you'd have to see a team go on such a ridiculous run to overtake them. And they're not capable. I don't think any of those bottom 3 are capable of that, and we'll come to them shortly. But Bristol Rovers, a 2-0 win. They've got Ryan Loft in. They look like a side that are trying to do some business. They've got players in abundance coming back from injury. Alfie Kilgore's coming back from injury. Connor Taylor coming back as well. Rodman's not far away. Leon Clark's not far away. Harry Anderson was back in the lineup. Joshua Grant was playing. They had Collins and Loft up front. This is starting to look like a very, very good team.
It's a huge amount of depth at Bristol Rovers.
Yeah.
Joey
Bart said he's been joining in training, so maybe if they get that short, they can always put him in.
Him and William midfield. Oh boy, love his son.
Not much pace, I would imagine. But yeah, a 2-0 win yesterday. Left it late, but what are your thoughts for what are your thoughts for them for the second half of the season?
I hope they can pick up a bit, because 16th to me still isn't a good position to Bristol Rovers. It's a huge ask to go anywhere really, really high. I think we probably should say that's probably a bit out of reach, but I hope they think they can pick up, and I don't think top half is out of the question at all at the moment.
No, I agree. I think they will finish top half. I think that would be a huge disappointment if they didn't. But yeah, I'm feeling a lot more positive about the Gas right now, and I think just the depth of squad that they have, if their injuries clear up.
Still not quite sure what the best 11 is, and part of that is because of the amount of options they've got.
And injuries, to be honest. They've had loads of COVID, loads of injuries all season. I do think they're better in a back 3 from what I've seen. I'd like to see them play a 3-4-3. I think they've got enough attacking options up front to be really exciting. I think Loft, Nicholson, and Collins would be a very exciting front 3 in this division.
I mean, what they play now isn't too dissimilar, though, is it? With the 3-1-4-2, it isn't a too dissimilar formation, like with some slight changes.
Yeah, Anthony Evans in that hole, he's been brilliant. And it was a free kick from him yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes.
What a goal that was!
Excellent. He's been really good.
Yeah, he has. He's been surprisingly good. Didn't really see much of him at Crewe, and he's just gone there and done absolutely brilliantly. Port Vale 1, Swindon 3. Final result coming through from Vale Park, which... did anyone see Darrell Clarke's interview after the game?
No.
Oh, he was not happy with his keeper.
I wonder why.
He was fuming. He said, I've had my words with him. But I bet paint came off walls in that dressing room. He was... You could see... Like, he's trying to keep calm. But like when you see a psychopath, and it's just you see it in their eyes.
That's an interesting comparison, James. When you see a psychopath...
It's he looked so irate. I was thinking, if I was an interviewer, I'd have my microphone on a 10-foot pole and I'd do it from a different disagree.
Could you imagine if that was John Yems?
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm more. I don't know. Who would you
He'd
rather?
send Coverland to the cleaners.
It was a stupid move from the keeper, and it basically scuppered the game because, he wanted to change things up at half time. You're minutes away from making it half time, so he could do something which we might feel impactful, but in the end, it wasn't to be. Good win for Swindon, who faltered somewhat. Harry McCurdy getting a new contract, and I think that's a good thing. They play lovely football still, and I think Swindon are an interesting team to watch. This January transfer window is going to be challenging because of the loan. They're one of those teams with the loan which gives them all these restrictions. But yes, Darrell Clarke not at all happy. But let's just say Cian Harratt, 2 goals in 2, and that finish, wow. I mean, was he 19 or something? Great goal. Absolutely great goal for Port Vale. And Exeter beat Scunthorpe. Not that that's something to champion, because Scunthorpe are terrible. But Exeter, with Giovanni Brown scoring and Zanzala scoring, looking like a team again that we are more familiar to see. They've had a lot of problems with injuries and COVID of late, but actually the fact they've got Sam Stubbs back as a defender, it's almost like a new signing. I just think they've got a very good spine. Matt Jay's excellent. Archie Collins in that midfield is key. They've got, if they can keep hold. The thing is, Ed, a lot of people linking Matt Jay and Josh Key with a move away.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Yeah, if they can, do you think they'll keep hold of them until the end of the season?
I hope they do. It gives them a chance. The problem I've got with Exeter, I don't fancy them to top 3, which means the best I can see them is the playoffs. And Exeter fans hate the playoffs.
Of course.
I think they'd rather finish 8th and miss out on it than go for us past again. Although surely there's got to be a point where they get it right.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Scunthorpe, seeing Ryan Loft go, I think is just a sign of the trouble they're in. Because he came on and with great impact at Oldham in that win, scoring, I think it was a brace. For me, he was one of their best players and most impactful strikers. If you're a Scunthorpe fan, it must be difficult at the moment, to be honest. They had chances though yesterday, Aaron Jarvis probably should have scored. But it was always going to be a difficult game, and they are...
Not a single shot on target though yesterday.
Yeah. It's those hardy Scunthorpe fans that made that trip. My hat
You can have all the shots. Yeah, you can have all the shots in the world, but if none of them are on target, they're not going in, are they?
Trust me, I've told that this season. There's nothing worse than when you get beaten, you don't even put a shot on goal.
Yeah.
It's just...
Can't say that I felt that too many times actually with Oxford. We at least have shots on target in matches most weeks, even if defenders are there to clear them away with heroic defending blocks. Yes. Well, anyway, I'm sorry, I'll get away from that Wycombe game in my head at one point. Stevenage 3, Sutton 3. Stevenage looked like they were heading for back-to-back wins, but Sutton just came back. And the worst thing about this was Cuthbert made a beautiful tackle to give away a penalty. It was a great tackle. Nothing wrong with it at all. He got the ball. I don't know what the ref's view was like, but I would suggest he had his eyes shut because it was absolutely great defending from Scott Cuthbert, and I would be not very happy if I was Paul Tisdale with that. However, I thought Sutton were very generous for that goal where Milsom just plays it sideways to, was it Reed who scored from distance?
Yeah, that was a weird one.
That's uncharacteristic. I thought Matt Gray did well. If they hadn't scored the 98th minute equaliser, I'm not sure Matt Gray would laugh about that too much in the post-match interview. He managed a wry smile and a chuckle, which I credit to him for that. But yeah, Bradford won, Ed, by the way. 2-1 against Salford. Bradford.
Can't believe it.
They won a game. Paudie O'Connor with the flipped header. Was it a red card for Asante, Thomas Asante?
Well, apparently Paudie O'Connor lost a tooth, so yes.
He lost the tooth and then he scores the winner.
He lost the tooth apparently and then scores the winner.
I wonder what a professional footballer gets from the tooth fairy. What do you reckon? Lamborghini? Well, maybe in the Premier League. I don't know.
League 2, so probably like a...
do you think that the tooth fairy's like...
Or something.
Is the tooth fairy means tested? I don't know. Like, would you, if you're a very rich person, would you get far less from the tooth fairy just because you've already... you're already earning so much money.
I would have thought you'd just get a gold bar under your pillow rather than a pound coin or something. I don't know.
Probably a silver bar. It's held its value more than gold, from what I understand.
Possibly.
I don't know the value of metals.
If you're the
now,
tooth
but-
fairy to footballers, you're probably not going to get much work, but when you do, it pays for your wherever tooth fairies live for a year.
I think the tooth fairy would be more prudent to be in the hockey industry.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I reckon the tooth fairies in football industry look at the hockey ones and go, yeah, shut up. They sit there in the dole queue.
That's where I want to be.
Anyway, let's go on. We're tangenting here.
What?
I blame Ed for that. Crawley went up without John Yems to Carlisle yesterday and got a 1-1 draw. I like what Keith Miller's doing at Carlisle. Very poor first half display, but he did, whatever he did, it gave them the impact to come back. I know Ashley Nadesan missed the penalty. John Mellish is playing up front, Ed. He's just progressed up the pitch, hasn't he, over his career?
He has, yeah. He started out as centre back. What's his name? Beach put him in midfield, and now Millen's put him up top. And I always thought his best effort was as a midfielder, as a kind of box to box. Later on, a bit of an aerial presence in the box. So maybe it's been utilised as that again, alongside Tyree Summertoy.
Yeah, I like the fact they've got Tyree Summertoy and Amari Patrick. I think that gives them an energy and a different dimension to their play. I think Alessandro being back is a good thing because obviously not only because he scored, but he is an experienced player, and that's always good to have in the team. They will be absolutely disgusted with the goal they gave away. It was absolutely shocking defending. I think it was Feeney who just sort of got the ball trapped under his feet, dispossessed. And nice to see Ashley Nadesan respect the fans by not celebrating. I always think that's a nice bit.
And by scoring his penalty later on as well.
Yeah, it's very kind of him as well. Probably, though I think that's taking generosity and respect of opposition fans a little bit too far. Ashley,
maybe
maybe hitting the target is probably a better idea. But no, I do like what's happening at Carlisle. I think that's given me enough confidence to say that they're going to be moving up the table and away from this. Oldham's game, of course, was cancelled. Newport beat Harrogate 4-0 with Dominator Telford scoring another 2. That's 18 goals in 17 league appearances. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And they've got, I think James Robury's got a good squad of players there, and they'll have fans back in the next game as well. So I'm not sure if they'll be limited to the numbers, but they'll be back. So that's at least something. We've got to end the podcast though, and not to brush over Newport because that was a very impressive win. But against a Harrogate team, to be honest, who have been in free fall of late, I just think I'd expected them to win. I think the way they did it, the clinical nature of their win, was absolutely brilliant. But I want to end on the 6-pointer. This was a game I was intrigued to look at because I thought if Colchester lose this, depending on how they play, then for me they need a change of manager. And someone's getting sacked after we finish recording this podcast. It happens every week. I'm just wondering if it's Hayden Mullins because Ed, a 2-0 defeat against a team like Barrow who have also been struggling for results. But not only that, poor in the data in every respect, underperforming I think with the squad of players they've got. It's not great, is it?
If you're Scunthorpe or Oldham, there's one team you think you can hunt down and take that safety spot off, and it has to be Colchester, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at that bottom. Is there any other team for you that's going to be drawn into it? Because at the moment, it's like...
I would have said Stevenage and Carlisle a few weeks ago, but they're going in an upward direction now. There's a positive change there.
Absolutely. So it is. It does look. I mean, it's early. It's half a season to go, and something could change. But at the moment, those are the 3 lame ducks that are battling not to drown in their own pond. If you see.
And I seem to remember Colchester were like this last season as well.
Yeah, and it's terrible. The match day experience is awful. The football has been dreadful, and just nothing really strikes me as being positive at the club when you look at what the fans are tweeting and talking about.
The only saving grace that they might have is the fact that they currently have 2 games on hand against teams around them in that bottom area.
Oh, but look how Mr. Points on the Board has changed his opinion, huh?
But of course they have to win those games or at least get something out of them.
Asking Colchester to win games is brave.
It looks better for them right now than it does for Scunthorpe or Oldham, if we're honest.
Well, only that they're above them.
Well, exactly. Not much better, but it's better.
This is the thing. I mean, for Colchester, they're just so happy that there are 2 teams worse than them in this at the moment in the division. That's it. I mean, they are that bad. and they shouldn't be. I think that there's enough in that squad with the likes of Skuse, Judge, Chambers, Smith, Dallison Lisbon, who obviously Tom Dallison, who scored a goal on his debut, not great. Sears in attack. They've got some good players. It's just a really disappointing season for them, and I'm very, very worried. Very worried indeed. They need to do something, and I'm not sure Hayden Mullins is the man I see from what his sample size since he's been there. I'm not sure he's the man. But then the fans will say Robbie Cowling needs to go. We'll see. League table then, Forest Green top, 52 points from 24 games. Tranmere 45 points from 25, and Northampton 41 from 24. Swindon, Sutton, Newport and Mansfield in those playoff places. Mansfield, who was second bottom at one point this season, climbing up the table. Exeter and Port Vale just outside of the running, but 2 games in hand for Port Vale, of course. Bradford up to 10th with that win yesterday. At the bottom, like we say, Oldham 18 points from 24 games, Scunthorpe 19 points from 25, and Colchester 22 points from 23, with Stevenage, Carlisle and Barrow above them and moving in the right direction. Guys, thank you for your opinions today.
Pleasure.
And thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you again next week for another podcast. Until then, everyone, take care.